pruning. Seen it done all sorts of ways, just usually not the right way. What's up, guys? Here we are today to go over on the whiteboard a couple of things with regard to pruning. This is one of the greatest strengths that we have as a business, and I truly believe that this is a dying art form. We need to communicate this knowledge with the younger generation so we can continue to have beautiful landscapes all around this world. This is an extremely valuable skill, and people will pay a lot of money to have it done. And if you're a homeowner, this is probably the biggest key to success in the landscape. But anyway, so what we've done here is made a little Venn diagram, as you can see, with a couple of examples of different plants that can be pruned in specific ways. And so we've got a hand pruning and shearing. With this one, it's really, just a pair of bypass pruners. And with this one, it can be done with a machine or scissor sheared. And so we're gonna go over what, when, how, and why. With the hand pruning, we're gonna try to wrap our head around the concept, because if you understand the concept, then you really understand when it's okay to do what. Most of these plants right here, we have hard flowering plants, okay? So timing is going to be very important. I personally don't believe that you have to know the month or the day that these plants are going to flower, because if you're actually paying attention to your landscape, you will see it starting and you will see it finish. And so my rule of thumb is go ahead when these plants, azaleas, camellias, roses, hydrangeas, etc., when you see them flower, when they're done flowering, go ahead and prune them. Prune them harder than you think you need to, because you have to allow for all that growth for the following year and the end of the season to be accounted for in that pruning after they flower. If you're the type of person that likes to see soft, fluffy growth in a natural form, but condensed, you will hand prune it. And the general rule of thumb will be cutting large runaway leaders back into the meat of the plant. So here we have trees. You're never, under any circumstances, going to hit a tree with a pruning machine. That is just crazy. Over here on the shearing side, we've got things like ligustrum, boxwood, yaupon holly, loropetalum, viburnum, podocarpus, pyracantha. These plants are going to be the ones that traditionally produce so much growth so regularly that hand pruning doesn't make sense because of time. But the truth of the matter is, these plants are going to be something that you would make hedge material out of, or anything that you want to keep a really razor sharp edge on. And so there is obviously a space in the middle. And this is because some of these plants, depending on who you are and how you want your plants to look, can be sheared. So, this ligustrum, this can transplant over here. I'm just gonna do an abbreviated version. So that one can transplant over here. I personally am the type of dude that likes to see a hard edge on ligustrums. I like it being a bread loaf, if you will. Boxwoods. Okay, boxwoods, hit them with a machine. It's completely fine. So if you're wanting to save time, hit it with a machine. But it also can be scissor sheared, and scissor shearing with a good sharp pair of scissor shears, although it takes forever, you will get an absolute razor sharp cut and it will be clean. Yaupon holly, I'm not even gonna bring that one over here because they grow so quickly. It is what it is. Loropetalums, that's a really good one for a hybrid. These things reach maturity and they will put a lot of growth out, but some people really like that wispy growth. So I'm gonna transition that one over here, Lauro, because you really can get those things down by dropping leaders down into the meat of the plant. Viburnum, that one's a super waxy leaf. And so it really gets chewed up by the pruning machines, and a scissor shear or a hand pruner will give you that clean cut as I described with the boxwoods. But you also, these things can get to, I don't even know, huge sizes. And so when you get them, a lot of them in a row and they're real tall, obviously you're not gonna get up there with your snips and just go to town on it. You've gotta take a bigger chunk out of it for your time, and that's when you're gonna do it with a pruning machine. Oh, podocarpus. We're gonna put Mr. Podo Baggins right here. And he ain't looking for the ring. No, you can hand prune these things. They really don't grow that quickly and they're really compact. Pyracantha, definitely. That one also has a tendency to have runaway leaders on it, which can be dropped back inside the plant using your hand pruners. You know, with Pyracantha, a lot of times you see people training it on a trellis or something, so they can get really tall. That obviously can be a hybrid, because anytime something gets that big, it starts to cost a lot of money or a lot of time to prune. And so basically, essentially what we're learning here and what we're covering here is when you see plants flower, you'll want to prune them pretty close after they get done. What look are you going for? Are you going for clean, neat, razor sharp edges, or are you going for more wispy, natural growth? We can handle a lot of these plants either way. So if you're going for the natural look, you're gonna be cutting leaders back inside to the meat of the plant to keep the plant roughly averaged out to how you want it. Outside of that, we're just gonna go straight to the footage, and we will learn more there. Appreciate you guys coming out. Obviously like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So in this segment, we're gonna focus on hand pruning more specifically with a pair of hand bypass pruners. Here we have a Formosa azalea, very common in southeastern North Carolina. It's a plant that flowers extremely hard during the springtime, and you don't want to prune these plants more than about 25 to 30 days after they flower. This particular plant was involved in a hard renovation in the springtime, so we're not going to have a flowering the following season. We're going to get into renovating plant material in another video, but we're going to use this for the sake of example right now. So when I look at a plant like this and I'm going to hand prune it, which this one calls for it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the top layer of growth back and look inside the plant for the level that I want to drop these taller leaders beneath. And so I have located my level, which if you probably can't see exactly, but it's going to be right in here. You can see we have all this growth here, and when I part these branches, you can look and see you have fresh basal growth beneath it at a certain level. And so I'm going to take my hand pruners, I'm going to pick one leader to start with. So I'll grab something that's in the range that I'm trying to remove and trace that branch down, move this, and then I'm going to trace that leader down to beneath where the new growth is, and you clip. And so that's one. And now I'm gonna kind of start moving through it a little bit quicker for the sake of time, but it is just a repeat process and the level will create itself. So now that I've made it about halfway through this plant, I'm gonna reposition to the front area, but also other side. And so I'm gonna repeat the process again. Pick my high leader, drop it beneath the growth. And so now you can really see the level starting to become visible. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna reposition to the back of the plant. Now this is a little hard. You rarely ever find a plant that you're gonna have adequate room to move, but it is what it is. You just kind of figure out a way to get in there and get working. Here is another kind of important thing. When you're in a plant hand pruning, you want to identify any volunteers or weeds that may be growing through it and go ahead and remove them because you're in there working. And here we got a little vine growing up, choking our plant out, and we don't want that. That's how we keep these azaleas beautiful and thick, is by keeping them a monoculture plant. And so I'm gonna grab that thing, trace it down to the bottom. So here's the base of this, and I'm gonna grab it. It's got thorns on it, but I'm an absolute savage, so I'm just gonna rip it out barehanded. All right, so now we're back on the prune train. I've got a couple more leaders to drop down inside here. Now that I've accomplished a rough cut on this plant, now what I'm gonna do is stand back and look at it for an average level and see if there's any irregularities that I still need to take out. And so I've done that, and I will usually stand back about maybe 10 to 15 feet just to get a good glimpse of how the level is becoming and what we have achieved. And I see that on the right side of this plant, ironically, it's the side that had a little bit more sun. We've got a little bit denser growth in the plant. And so I'm gonna have to do a secondary cut along this right side in order to drop it to the level we need. And so I can see it's not going to be as severe as what we've already done. So I'm just gonna start bit by bit and check out what I can drop down. I see this right here is a sore thumb, so that gets cut down. Then I see something like this right here is kind of not at our desirable level. So instead of just clipping this one thing, I'm gonna move that branch and drop that leader way down inside here. And what that does is it allows for more sunlight to enter the core of the plant to create another sub-level to give you your cut for next season. So I'll keep going around here and clip out, clip out, clip out. And so we pretty much got it where it needs to be now. The last thing I'm gonna do is go into the interior of this plant, and I'm gonna pick selectively a few branches that I'm gonna drop to create holes in the top of the plant that you can't see from the front, that will allow sunlight to get to the interior of the plant to, again, help the thickness of the growth. And so I'll just random, I'll just pick this one, cut that one out. Now we've got about an 8-inch hole right here. You can't even see, but that plant knows it, and it is going to grow thick growth now on the inside. And then I'll probably do one more. And maybe one back here, and maybe one right here. And there's your finished product. Nice wispy growth. And we've dropped the height of this plant down maybe a foot. And it looks like it never was even pruned. And that's gonna be for your people who want a more natural look.
Hey everybody, Totally Trey Hughes here to tell you that this video is going to be just a hand pruning, and then the shearing section is going to be a totally different video. We just felt that it's just a lot of information and stuff to throw at you, so we're just going to break it up into hand pruning for this video, shearing for the other video. We'll probably do the shearing video in a couple of weeks. We have a lot of footage and things to talk about for the shearing video, so we just felt it was better to break it up into two, just so it's easier to watch. It breaks it up for the people that want one or the other. Trey showed you, I showed you how to hand prune, so next week we will have the shearing video out where we'll talk about how to shear, when to shear, what stuff to shear with, common things to try and avoid, how to stay safe while you shear, maybe even nerdy stuff like form and shape and stuff like that. For the most part, it's going to be a pretty simple, just get out there, make the bush small, make the bush square, whatever you want as a homeowner. Totally Trey here, telling you to like and subscribe, and thanks for checking everything out today.